Live visuals earlier of King Misuzulu Zwelithini about to lead a group of royal family members and amabutho as he undertakes a very important ritual hunt this weekend. It forms part of this weekend's activities at the KwaKhangela Mankangena Royal Palace in Nongoma. Amid squabbles, though, within the royal family about this cleansing ceremony. Let's speak to historian. Always such a pleasure to have Professor Patika Ntuli joining us. Hello to you, Prof. Good to have you with us on ES here. At least you look nice and warm today, unlike those taking part in the ceremony. So Siphamandla Goge painting the picture of the significance of the ceremony this weekend. We can talk about that in a moment, but I'm curious to get your thoughts. Why does there seem to be such a factional divide in the royal household, even in the build-up to this event? What exactly is your understanding of the problem there before we talk about the significance of this weekend? What do you make of all this?
We could just remember that there were some royal members who went to the High Court trying to challenge the will that the king left and what tradition required. It's all about power, the internal rivalries of people who feel that they are very closer to it, because people are beginning to forget their own kind of traditions of how things have been done since time immemorial.
So this ceremony for the weekend, family squabbles aside, because there does seem to be ongoing, still the ceremony is taking place, the king arriving a little earlier. We were hearing the celebrations, the praise singers, the chanting of this. But help me understand, Professor, this is a cleansing ceremony, is it? There's a hunt which the king is going to go on now. Tell me about the significance of that. And then, and forgive me, I could never get the pronunciation right, the cleaning of the weapons. Tell me about the significance of those two.
Oh, yes. What happens, the hunt is specifically to hunt for a leopard that the heir to the throne should kill, that will make out the outfit that we normally see royalty wearing. Because of the bravery of the leopard, therefore the king should wear a leopard skin. But going with that, there is also a small wild pumpkin that has got to be hunted, to be found, because wherever you find that wild little pumpkin, there's normally a mamba snake to symbolize courage. And it also going together as a nation, members of the nation, to cement a kind of a unity for a spiritual cleansing of the passing of King Zwelithini. In other words, it is a process of bringing back his spirit, to the nation since it parted when he passed on.
And Siphamandla also touching on this earlier. Prof, we're busy looking at the visuals. These are visuals from earlier this morning. Amabutho, which I mentioned a moment ago, and then I'm sure I heard him say also Zulu warriors there as well, all dressed a little bit differently to each other. Is there any significance there? We are talking about two different tribes, I understand, in this case. What's the significance of the amabutho and amazulu in this?
No. I mean, amabutho are the defense force of the nation. So if they are dressed in different things, it's also symbolic of different regiments, because there are different regiments that are there. So it reflects them rather than the divisions within the nation itself.
Historically, has the royal household always had to deal with issues of this infighting and factionalism in years past, when there was changes of leadership, there was new kings coming in? Historically, Prof, have they always had to deal with issues like this, or is it just now because there's so much media attention on this, or is this fairly unusual?
It is unusual, but there's always a conflict, because sometimes people take over power by using the spear, and then those defeated would want to rise. But in this particular case, it became patently clear when the case was taken to the High Court that there's no clear understanding of what the tradition requires. You see, And immediately you bring in those kind of legalities, then we are departing from the traditional core values of that society. And because there are resources, there is power that is in it, there will be people from behind who are going to be edging this kind of conflict so that there's no smooth takeover.
You spoke about
notwithstanding,
carry on.
So notwithstanding whether people love the current king or they don't, the issue here is an issue of what tradition and indigenous wisdoms and philosophies demand should happen.
I was about to ask you about tradition. What does tradition dictate as far as the ceremony and the process? So today we're about to see the hunt, I understand, getting underway. A little bit later, preparations for that, then the cleansing ceremony. Where does this fit into an arc of ceremonies? What is supposed to happen after this weekend once these ceremonies are performed? What is it meant to symbolize, and what happens for the Zulu nation next?
That means to say then, when it's all done, that means the old regime of King Zwelithini it's over, and the new one of Misuzulu is there. And the cleansing was a cleansing of the path between the two of them, and also cleansing the path of handing over power. These are very highly spiritual things in the belief systems of the Zulu people.
Prof, I could talk about this all day, I really could. I find this fascinating, and I always thank experts like you in helping me understand. I don't always understand exactly what I'm looking at, but it is always a wonderful experience to see on TV and to witness, and I really appreciate you dumbing it down for someone like me. Professor Patika Ntuli, historian, talking to us about this hunt and this cleansing ceremony for the Zulu king.